There's so much to remember, to stand up to, of the opposing forces that would deny us from good Christmases. One of them is the opposition of distractions. The second is the opposition of the dimness of our consciousness. A third opposition is that of an insufficient respect or evaluation of deity or of the Christ influence among men. Another is that of misconceptions, the barriers that divide groups and nations and friends and so on. And others still are selfishness or self-centeredness down the list. But all of them can be wiped out in a second if we remember Christ. And if He becomes Christ to us in the present tense, no longer a holy baby in a manger, though God knows that He was there too once. We think of Him, Christ, in this present moment, in the effulgence of His Lordship degree. We think of Him as an elder brother told us that He's doing, as during some periods prior to Christmas, His going with newly elected masters who have become adepts within the last 1,000 years. He takes these younger adepts with Him and goes through our world and points out to them the troubled areas of the nations and what can be done to solve the friction. He points out to them in hospitals what's coming in the way of healing. And this holy group of companions bless the atmospheres that they go through as they go out and into the various places visiting men. But as we think of our Lord and celebrate His birthday meaningfully, the more He dominates the center of our consciousness, not through any force of His, but because we choose in our highest self not to be self-led, but to be Christ-led and to be Christ-centered.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Quest Haven's Church of the Holy Quest this morning. We are so glad to have you all here, and for those of you joining us from your homes, welcome to you as well. It's been a wonderful Advent season so far. I think you could all agree with the classes and special services we've had, and with our ministers taking us on a Christward journey through becoming channels of peace and being filled with the joy of Christ and coming alive with gratitude. And just last week, being clothed in the garments of splendor. So today we are blessed to have the Reverend Lucy Wold speaking on her talk, To Know the Love of Christ. I don't think there's anyone here who can deny what we're feeling inside at this time of year, this movement, this awakening, this powerful presence growing within us, the Christ Spirit, Christ presence. And for me, it's become so strong being here at Quest Haven, and I'm reminded of one of the first audio recordings I heard of Quest Haven's founder, Flower A. Newhouse, and in it, she used a word that I had never heard. Of course, there were many words of hers that I hadn't heard, but this one really stood out and touched my heart in such a way. And I think it is the most profoundly beautiful word that I will ever hear in my life. And there's something, as you all know, the way flower speaks. So this word just was spoken so gently from her lips and flowed with this love and reverence and resonance. I mean, I felt angels could have been carrying these words throughout all the realms of the earth. And that word was Christing. So if you can just imagine how it sounds when it comes off of her lips. And I think this is what I've been feeling with this Advent season, this Christing. And so in a talk that she gave on December 25th in 1977, she had this to say about Christing. The Christing of his light touches all of us on every plane, in every vehicle we possess, in every atom, until indeed we are cleansed and renewed and freshly inspired and lifted by that Christing influence. When Christ is born in us, and for so many it is only a hope, but it can come true any moment of any day in any year for those who love him deeply. Then that person will take as his life cue and purpose the living of Christ's reverence for God. She goes on to say, the Christ spirit is a universal spirit, broadcast like his aura throughout the planet, and every atom of it is alive and potent. When this Christ spirit enters us, we do think differently. There isn't irritation or pettiness or possessiveness or bitterness or negativity. Those qualities do not belong to Christ. Christ, when we are reborn to his spirit, lives in our present moment. So that is what I aspire to embody this Christmas season. And I was inspired, actually, when Hal Lingerman shared his acronym of gratitude with us 2 weeks ago. And so it inspired me to share one of my own that I want to use throughout this Christmas season to bring the feeling of Christing to the forefront of my mind, so that when I get hurried or busy in this Christmas season and distracted, I will be able to remember. And it's a mantra that I've created for myself. And it goes like this: Christ, coming home to rest in surrender and trust. And then further inspired by my Quest Haven family, Christ, communing here to rise and rejoice in the splendor of truth, his truth, which is his love. So please, let's join together now for a brief prayer and invocation. If you close your eyes, take some deep breaths, and just soak in this Christing spirit. Dear God, source of all life, Lord Emmanuel, the living Christ, Christ Spirit, we are so grateful and filled with gratitude for all that you have given us, for these sacred grounds at Quest Haven that we are able to share with all the creatures and life here and be nourished and loved and healed by all the energy. And for the family that you have created here, in hopes that many others may soon come through the gates and experience your healing presence. And Lord Christ, we ask that throughout this Christmas season, you are able to bless all of those who are less fortunate than we are and who are experiencing such hardship and challenge and loss in their lives. so that they may open their hearts and minds to receive your blessings, your love, and your Christing. And please help us to continually be aware of your presence daily in our lives, so that we are able to be open channels to emanate that peace and love to others. And thank you for blessing our speaker this morning, so that her words of love and reverence may flow directly into our hearts and minds, so that we are enlivened and inspired to share that love in every day. We thank you in your name. Amen. And now the Quest Haven Choir will sing "Shine the Light of Your Love" by Joseph Martin, followed by Reverend Lucy Wold.
When you think of Jesus the Christ, what comes to your mind first? Do you think of the baby Jesus in the manger as we approach Christmas? Or of the cross that's so prominently displayed in many religions? Or do you think of what he came to our planet, Earth, to teach us? I asked myself this question long before I thought of asking you, and I realized what I have always wanted most to know, above all my other questions, is the most important reason he came to earth for his lifetime as Jesus, what he most urgently wanted us to know, why God sent his precious Son to us. Flower tells us Jesus knew what he came to earth to do and was prepared to deliver that message. She says he came with a great mission of changing the world pattern. He came to usher in a new age of people who did not believe in an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. She says no one on earth could have taught him the spiritual work he needed to do on earth. He had been trained in mystery teachings long before his life as Jesus. He tuned in on universal teachings that blesses the whole world. His baptism by his cousin, John the Baptist, attuned his whole being to the Christos forces. And from that time on, he was not his own person. He had a public life. And he became the Lord Emmanuel, God with us. He became mantled with what Flower calls, I quote, the glorious responsibility and office of the Christ of our planet. He spent 40 days in the wilderness. She said that was the most important thing that happened to him before he began his public life. He met the temptations he faced in the wilderness, and he became a consecrated agent of divine orders. From all that I have learned, the most important mission Jesus came to teach us was to love. Matthew 22:37-39 tells us, Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like unto it. Love your neighbor as yourself." And I quote Flower in her book, The Sacred Heart of Christmas, "Love among men is the dearest of all things to the heart of Christ." Think back to when he came to earth as the baby Jesus. What was the world like then? From my understanding of the Old Testament, a Messiah had been prophesied, but the timing of when he would be there was not exact. Isaiah 9:6 tells us, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulders, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." But Isaiah also tells us that the light of this anointed one was coming into a world that was shrouded in darkness. Jews were living under Roman rule. They were not free to govern themselves. King Herod, a proud ruler, only out for himself, ruled Jerusalem with Roman approval. 4 different Jewish sects were in competition with each other to lead the Jews. Riots were common, tensions were high, there was great turmoil and chaos. They believed in an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth, meaning that when someone offends you, you can punish them by offending them in the same way. If they take out your eye, you take out their eye. Many Jews seem to be convinced that the only way to defeat the Romans and get out from under their rule was for the promised Messiah to come. They envisioned him as a great general to lead a powerful Hebrew army and defeat Romans. But the mission of Jesus of Nazareth was so incredibly different from their expectations. a mission so unusual that it seemed incomprehensible to many, maybe to most. What could it possibly mean that he came to teach us to love? What difference would that make? What would that solve? I find it's often a story that brings history to life in my heart, and one story that helped me grasp the great importance of the message of Jesus is one you all know. It was written in 1880 by Lew Wallace, entitled Ben-Hur, A Tale of the Christ. I drove by Ben-Hur's home and memorial every time I went from my home to my university in Indiana, and so I was well aware of the book. And then the movie came out in 1959. Okay, thank you. It clearly depicts how Judah Ben-Hur, a Jew of high upbringing, came to despise the Romans after being arrested for no reason and spending 5 years in slavery rowing aboard a Roman prison ship. His hatred had plenty of time to grow. His desire for vengeance radically increased when he learned that his beloved mother and sister had become lepers because they had been thrown in prison simply because they were related to him. They had done nothing wrong. Ben-Hur's only goal came to kill the Romans who had destroyed his entire family. As the story unfolds, Ben-Hur has an encounter with Jesus, observes the effect he has on others with his all-penetrating love, and then later he observes a badly beaten Jesus carrying the cross on his way to Calvary. For me, seeing the great contrast, the huge change in Ben-Hur as he observes Jesus and slowly tries to grasp this message of love he came to teach, that's what brings the love alive for me, seeing this great change in a human being from hatred to forgiveness. The same love Jesus wants us to give each other. Ben-Hur's encounters with Jesus changed all the assumptions he had held about life until then. His entire slant about living with hatred and about the Romans slowly dissolved. A new kind of love and forgiveness came to him, and he began to grasp a little bit why Jesus came to earth. He came to know the love of Christ. So we might ask ourselves if we as a humanity have learned the lesson Jesus came to teach us. Learning to love each other as Christ loves us seems to be a great challenge across the globe for most of us. Flower reflected on this. She said the Christ way has never actually been universally tried. Systems have been dedicated to him. Lives have been sacrificed in his little understood cause. Yet neither piety nor heroism has revealed the Christ fully to the world. Through the misconceptions of his interpreters, the Christ's message has been tainted by a spirit of hypocrisy, dogmatism, and intolerance. Now, I know some of you live from Christ's love every single day, giving to others. And some of us are learning how we might, as Christians studying Christian mysticism, find ways to truly love as Jesus loved us. As most of you know, and as the Reverend Julie Hilt so beautifully described last Sunday, every Christmas Eve, Flower would watch the midnight procession celebrating the birth of Christ, which is held on the inner plains. She wrote about that procession in January of 1938. She talked about the Christmas Eve of 1937, saying that in a voice vibrant and penetrating, Christ gave his message to the world. And she said she was able to remember his final injunction, "Love one another as I love you." And she said his glance seemed to say, I love you for what you are in the regions of your God-dwelling self. Become that self. And as you know, each year, she told us, Christ releases great keynotes of spirit into the atmosphere, reminding humanity of our need to practice spiritual love, regeneration, trust, and self-conquest to fulfill our destiny on earth. And Flower said, when we meet the kindle archangel, when we pass to the higher worlds, we will be asked, how much have you loved? How many have you taken into your heart? We are told that love pours out from the hearts to others, and that unselfish and spiritual love are hallmarks of advanced souls. Julian of Norwich tells us the closer we come to Christ's soul, the nearer we move to the heart of one another. And it is from this oneness that enduring love of God and neighbor is possible. Physician Larry Dawsey, in his book Healing Words, tells us love is intimately related with health. He tells the story of a Harvard Medical School professor who demonstrated the power of love to make the body healthier through what he called the Mother Teresa effect. He showed a group of students a documentary of Mother Teresa ministering lovingly to the sick, and he measured the levels of the students' immunoglobulin A in their saliva before and after seeing the film. IgA is an antibody active against viral infections. IgA rose significantly after seeing the documentary, even in those students who felt that Mother Teresa was too religious. I wonder if in our world today we even come close to realizing how important love is, its massive influence on human life. Many years ago, I met a man who had spent a large part of his adult life reaching out with love in an unusual way, and some of you may be familiar with him. My husband Richard and I used to attend many seminars on health and healing over many decades, and one of our favorite speakers was psychiatrist Dr. Jerry Jampolsky. He was very candid about his life. This is when we first heard him speaking. He was telling us that he was raised by parents who taught that the whole world was simply awful. Today was terrible. Tomorrow would be worse. And the day after that would likely be catastrophic. So he was not in a very good place when we first met him. He had recently gone through a bitter divorce. He had constant backaches because he said he was using his back as a place to store his stress. And then slowly everything began to change for him. He read a book called A Course in Miracles that the author claimed was spoken to her by Jesus, although there are many people who dispute that, who the author was. But he learned from that book, and in 1975, he began to see the world and himself in an entirely different way. He founded the Center for Attitudinal Healing in Tiburon, California, providing trainings, workshops, and support to by now tens of thousands of people facing life-threatening illnesses, bereavement, imprisonment, divorce, aging, and conflicts of every kind. Jerry remarried, and he and his wife, Diane Cirincione, began to see every day as an opportunity to bring love and peace to our world. Their center radiates a unique way of looking at the world through the eyes of love and light, a way Christ asked us to see the world. All their services are free of charge, and they've earned numerous rewards for their work. Their principles are now taught in more than 130 independent centers in over 60 countries on 6 continents. And asked how each of us can help heal the appearance of hatred in our world, Jerry said, "We believe the identities of all people are not limited to their bodies, egos, and actions, but that we are all spiritual beings temporarily housed in physical bodies, and that we are all the essence of love, created by the source, some call God. We begin by being willing to see spirit in every being. And Diane tells us if we have a negative feeling about someone, we see that person with light behind him or her. We try to see the other person in one of two ways. That person is either loving or reaching out for love. If they attack us, rather than attack back, we send more love. We have found another way of looking at the world, expanding our views beyond the fears our egos get stuck in and react to. They ask themselves each day, is my purpose to love, or is it to judge? And loving the person doesn't mean you condone what they have done. If a person comes from an unhealed place of anger and hatred, when we react to them, we breed more anger and hatred. But if we bring love, we bring the most powerful healing force in the world. The Jampolskys spoke of meeting Mother Teresa, who told them, if you really believe your job is being a messenger of love, change your belief about a person, stay in the present, and leave the future in the hands of God. And they speak of the importance of forgiveness being like letting someone out of prison and then discovering it was you who was the prisoner all along. Jerry wrote a book called Love is Letting Go of Fear, based on his favorite teachings. And Richard used to lend these to his patients, but they would never bring them back. So he started buying them by the box and giving them out. And it's called Love is Letting Go of Fear. And it's teaches love. For me, this way of seeing the world absolutely radiates the way Jesus of Nazareth taught us, to learn to see others in a new light, and perhaps to see the differences in others as enriching our lives. Unlike his fellow Jews, Christ readily spoke with Samaritans, whom most of the Jews hated. His way of reaching out with love often surprised his followers. He was filled with love. Jerry and Diane also stress the importance of being kind to yourself, and this has been a bit of a controversy. There are two different, as I understand it, there are two different ways of self-love and self-compassion. One is like a moral flaw, like vanity, selfishness, pride, egotism. But there's another way, and there have been many, many scientific studies in the last decade about how important it is for our mental health to be kind to ourselves. Many people, and you probably know some, who are very harsh with themselves. They treat others much better than they treat themselves. It turns out that being kind and compassionate to ourselves is extremely valuable to us as we deal with the challenges of life. It's not that we try to run away from a painful experience. We accept that the moment is painful, but we embrace ourselves with kindness and care, remembering that suffering and imperfection is just part of the human journey. We're giving ourselves the support and comfort we need to bear the pain that we're going through, treating ourselves as we would treat a friend or a child that was hurting. A kind way of relating to ourselves, even if we feel we've failed at something or are inadequate. The Bible verse, love your neighbor as yourself, implies that we naturally love ourselves. But some people fall short on that. They beat themselves up if they even make a mistake. So listen to your self-talk. We should all do that, I think, and be kind to ourselves. Another question: do we love Christ enough to help him build a better civilization on earth as he came to do? I would like to share a phone conversation between a tech support person and a customer. See if you might resonate with this at all. It's called Installing Love. Tech support answers the phone. Yes, can I help you? Customer, well, after much consideration, I've decided to install Love. Can you guide me through the process? Yes, I can help you. Are you ready to proceed? Well, I'm not very technical, but I think I'm ready. What do I do first? The first step is to open your heart. Have you located your heart? Yes, but there are several other programs running now. Is it okay to install Love while they're running? What programs are running? Let's see. Past hurts, low self-esteem, holding a grudge, and resentment are running right now. Okay, Love will gradually erase past hurts from your current operation system. It may remain in your permanent memory, but it will no longer disrupt other programs. Love will eventually override low self-esteem with a module of its own called being kind to yourself. However, you have to completely turn off holding a grudge and resentment. These programs prevent Love from being properly installed. Can you turn those off? I don't know how to turn them off. Can you tell me how? With pleasure. Go to your Start menu and invoke forgiveness. Do this as many times as necessary until grudge and resentment have been completely erased. Okay, done. Love has started installing itself. Is that normal? Yes, but remember that you have only the base program. You need to begin connecting to other hearts in order to get the upgrades. Oops, I have an error message already. It says error, program not run on external components. What should I do? Don't worry, it means that the Love program is set up to run on internal hearts, but has not yet been run on your heart. In non-technical terms, it simply means you have to be very kind to yourself before you can love others. So what should I do? Pull down Self-Acceptance, then click on the following files: Forgive Self, Recognize Your Worth, and Acknowledge Your Limitations. Okay, done. Now copy them to the My Heart directory. The system will overwrite any conflicting files and begin patching faulty programming. Also, you may need to delete harsh self-criticism from all your directories and then empty the recycle bin to be sure it's gone for sure and never comes back. Got it. Hey, my heart is filling up with new files. Smile is playing on my monitor, and peace and contentment are copying themselves all over my heart. Is that normal? Sometimes. For others, it takes a while, but eventually everything gets it at the proper time. So Love is installed and running. One more thing before we hang up. Love is freeware. Be sure to give it and its various modules to everyone you meet. They will in turn share it with others and return some cool modules back to you. And then the customer replies, "Thank you, God." So are we prepared and courageous enough this Christmas to include love for others as gifts this holy season? What might we do? What might we add to our daily lives to become proficient at loving as Christ loved? Think of what you've had to do to become good or proficient at something you truly wanted to learn, like playing the piano or learning Spanish. It takes practice each day. It seems we need to give time and attention to learning how to love as Jesus loved us. And we must choose love. It's a choice. It's a decision we make. So rather than spending every moment in busyness, let's find a way to take some time each day in solitude and deep devotion, learning how to love. What places on earth need your love? Send love to those places. What people on earth need your love? Go within and send them your love. Who do you know who is suffering? Send love. What animals need your love? Don't leave them out of the picture. Go into nature and shower it with your loving energy as it showers you with its God-filled energy. Once we see God in plants and animals, we surely can learn how to see God in our neighbors and love the world. Slowly, with daily practice, we are assured that we will begin to notice something within our heart that is different. This is the holy season. Great energies are pouring down upon the earth from the reservoir of the Christ Spirit. Christmas retreat begins next Friday, and then Christmas Eve is the following Friday. This is a perfect week to go within and discover love. One well-documented practice done many times a day by the staff at the HeartMath Institute in Northern California. And it's a simple 3-step technique, and this would be a fast one that you could use anytime throughout the day. They call it the heart lock-in technique. Wherever they are, they simply pause to turn within. Perhaps we could take 3 minutes to do this if you are willing. Simply take a breath and go within. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Step 1. Shift your attention to the area of your heart and breathe slowly and deeply. Step 2. Activate and sustain a genuine feeling of appreciation, care, or love for someone or something in your life. And feel that in your heart. Step 3. Send these feelings of love and appreciation toward the one you have chosen to care for, and also toward yourself and anyone else you would choose. This benefits them and helps recharge and balance your own system. Thank you. I think doing this several times a day seems to help us over and over open to the love Jesus came to teach us, love for our fellow human beings. It helps us to know the love of Christ. I would like to close with some words about love from the spiritual teacher Emmett Fox. There is no difficulty that enough love will not conquer, no disease that enough love will not heal, no door that enough love will not open, no gulf that enough love will not bridge, no wall that enough love will not throw down, no sin that enough love will not redeem. It makes no difference how deeply seated may be the trouble, how hopeless the outlook, how muddled the tangle, how great the mistake. A sufficient realization of love will dissolve it all. If only you could love enough, you would be the happiest and most powerful being in the world, unquote. Love, as taught by the Christ, makes all the difference in our lives.
In December, we give our gifts, wishing well to our world. Peace on earth to everyone. A time to be joyful when all is calm and all is bright. But why does it change with the seasons? And why can't we just hold on to some? radiates, lights up my memories, the magic of love. We make time, but why does it change with the seasons? And why can't we just hold on to silent nights, holy nights, and angels singing lullabies, and heaven and nature singing goodwill to all, to all. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, night divine. And those silent nights, holy nights, and angels singing lullabies, and heaven and nature singing goodwill to all, to all. And those silent nights, holy nights, and angels singing lullabies, and heaven and nature singing goodwill to all, to all, to all.
What a powerful service this morning. Thank you, Reverend Loosely, so much for your enlightening talk on love. What a journey you've taken us through. And Blake, is there a Quest Haven Love Tech support line coming in the future? I think that's just a marvelous idea. This is a time we give thanks and gratitude to all of you who help support Quest Haven and all the efforts that are done here. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and I know people have been especially busy preparing for this Christmas season. So a special thanks to all of you who contribute so much and share so much of yourselves and give so much of your love. And one way to share love is through a donation, and we have a place in the receptacle as you leave the service today, and then also if you're online, there's the blue button that you can press if you're so moved. Just so grateful for this place and all of you here. As for our announcements, we have a special welcome back to an organist, Judith Moore, who actually was here in the ministry in the early 1970s. So she'll be here at Quest Haven for the next few weeks. So such a nice opportunity to have you here. Special thanks also for our choir and the music that you provide, I wanted to add. So next week, already next Friday, is our Christmas retreat with a special candle lighting ceremony on Friday night. And I would encourage you, if you can, please make this. It's going to be such a special, heartwarming celebration. And personally, I've been privy to the beautiful gifts that we're going to be receiving during this ceremony. It's going to be really something spectacular. And then Saturday night, there will be festivities and a potluck that we can all come together for. And then a Sunday talk by Reverend Blake Isaac entitled The Call of Christmas, Be Reborn. And there are flyers about this retreat out in the entrance when you leave. So after the service today, please join us for fellowship and potluck refreshments in the Friendship House. And now, if we all could stand and sing together, Angels from the Realms of Glory, hymn number 277.
Before I close the service today, I just want to let everybody know that, first of all, that Jim Johnson is going to be here again with his Christmas cards, and he's doing a fundraising for the ministry. So those are originally made, and there's cards and even videos of him making the cards. Just a wonderful little experience that he's going to share with you at the end. So make sure you stop by the greeting table. And I also want to say, if you want flyers, I think flyers are also back there and also online. They're on our website. But the main reason for I'm getting up here is prayers do get answered as they're coming, and particularly at this Christmas season. And for those of you who have been praying for baby Frizzell, this is Benjamin Frizzell, Larry's grandson. He shared with me his birth. There were some complications in the umbilical cord, and so there was some very serious situation, and he is coming through it, that little baby, and Larry wanted to extend all the prayers for you, and he's doing much better now, so God be praised. And now Reverend Lucy Wold will give us our closing prayer.
I would like to thank Deborah Waitley for opening our service so well today. Thank you. It was beautiful. Beloved Lord Christ, we come before you this week and next week, ready to celebrate your birthday. We know how much love you sent out to the world, both when you were here in body and since that time. You even extended love to the thieves on the cross beside you. We are so blessed to have your exampleship. All we have to do is think of you, and we will know your love. Help us each during this holy season to turn to you, to know the love that you give out, and to be able to be followers in such a way that we are able to give out that love too, to our fellow human beings, to the creatures, to our plants, to the rocks, to all of nature, and to all, whether they believe in you or not. We ask these things in thy holy name, Lord Christ, and with great gratitude. Amen. And may the days that lie before you find you coming ever more deeply to know the love of Christ. Amen.